Yeah, on.
Two twins.
Yeah. Yo, I should say yo, because the theme of the day is 2-letter words. So instead of yeah, I will say yo. Because yo might be the only 2-letter word that Peter Gabriel has not used yet for a album title. Have you picked up on it, T? The 2-letter thing that he has?
Well, he did so.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the other one?
Us.
Okay.
Which followed so. And then what followed us was up.
Hmm.
And then what followed up was IO. And then what is followed IO, soon to be following IO, is OI. Maybe I have those reversed. I don't know.
Up has that great song, I Breathe, or I
Grieve.
I Grieve. Damn.
I Grieve's amazing.
That's a good one.
Up is a very, it's an album that got sort of ignored because it came out in 2002. And it was my album of the year that year.
Yes.
And that's when I was reviewing music. And it was just that year was when, like, you know, the music industry was like just in sheer panic over all sorts of things, like downloading, and an entire album just got completely sort of overlooked, with that being one of them.
Yeah. Weird year. Let's see. I'm looking up on my board. 2002. That would have been.
I should guess. I think I could guess what it is.
Yeah, you can guess. You might get it.
Oh, the Sensefield album was not in 2002. It couldn't have been.
That was the year after.
I won't be able to guess it. Just tell us. Reveal to the audience what your album of the year.
It was Diorama.
Oh, Silverchair
By the band Silverchair. That's right.
That is a fantastic album.
Pretty good choice.
Very good choice. But again, T, wouldn't you say like kind of overlooked in general?
Well, completely overlooked, you know?
Yeah. I mean, 2002 is a weird year. The industry was moving really fast and being very reactive, and technology was becoming a big factor. And
the iPod was like working its way into the.
Indeed. No doubt about it. Speaking of iPod and songs, I've like the legions of others have been enjoying the Toph's Top 5 episodes. The one that really caught me was the Def Leppard.
Yeah, I'm always curious if you have any like gross fundamental disagreements with, can't believe you put that in. What a crime to leave that out. Let's see. We did AC/DC, Def Leppard, Lenny Kravitz, dude.
I didn't listen to Lenny Kravitz. I listened to AC/DC and Def Leppard.
There's some good TJ stuff in Lenny Kravitz.
I'm sure there is.
And then Tom Petty and those Heartbreakers, which I took a couple of pot shots at you in that one.
Tom Petty didn't have 5 good songs, so I don't know how you did that one. Did you just do the whole Wildflowers album? Just all
terrible thing to say. You know what? Actually, that one before the next episode, listen to that one, and then you tell us what your top 5 would be.
Okay.
And actually, there were none off Wallflowers.
Yeah, that's criminal.
0. Yeah, 0.
Okay, let's go with Def Leppard.
Okay.
It's homicide that Gods of War was not on your list.
Homicide?
Like that's just
murder?
Yes. More than criminal. It's actual musical homicide.
Like manslaughter or homicide?
No, homicide. Manslaughter is much. Manslaughter is that you didn't have, white lightning on it.
Gods of War. I mean, I had 2 from Hysteria. I mean, or actually, did I have 3?
Love and Affection is downright. Like, I just couldn't even believe when those words came out of your mouth.
What?
That's the clunker on the album.
I had 3 from clunker. I had 3 from Hysteria already. I can't. I can't. God's War is great.
Mhm.
You know,
It's magnificent. It's
Excitable. You're saying Excitable's better than Love and Affection?
I'd say those are the two clunkers. Run Riot is better than both of those far and away.
Run Riot's pretty good.
I'd say the bottom three of that album are Love Bites, Love and Affection, and Excitable. And those three are all they're not good.
I'm with you on Love Bites, but Love and Affection, no, I obviously can't go with you on that one.
You got to write with Hysteria, On Through the Night.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a friggin' jam.
really, there's a bunch of stuff off High and Dry that I think, like,
Bring it on the hard.
another hit and run. It would absolutely be on mine, like 100%.
What'd you think of me rolling with a little bit of Switch 602 or whatever it is?
625.
625.
I thought it was funny. I thought your whole explanation that was funny, but you compared it to something. I can't remember what it was. Like something like an.
I compared it to Chicago. When we get there, gonna jump in
no comparison. No comparison. The Chicago one is way more.
I was saying that the Chicago one's awful and unnecessary, and I was saying that Switch 629 is actually great. I actually think
625.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Same.
Okay. So that was the Def Leppard.
Okay.
One. The AC/DC one, I was pleased that you had Money Talks in there.
Yeah.
It'd be easy to miss that. So for those about to rock, like, has to be.
It's good.
It has to be. Just the intro and the build and drama
it's
of
good.
that song.
Yeah.
So I took major exception to that.
I did put the closer to that album, though, Spellbound, which is a freaking rad song.
Spellbound's really good. That was kind of a good call.
But you're right. For those about to rock.
For those about to rock. And then
the fire part kind of, it's a little gimmicky to me.
and for those about to rock,
Yeah.
you're talking about fire.
Yeah.
That's the best. Are you kidding me?
Fire.
Oh my God, it's phenomenal.
Takes you back to the Artie Lang days.
Artie Lang, man, exactly. I'll tell you
dirty deeds.
I'll tell you one that would make my list. That's a little, little deeper. Is Rock and Roll Train would make mine. So it bummed no mention of that.
You loved. What was the later album that was it Black Ice or was it the other one? There was the one with like the burgundy reddish cover. There was one sort of modern.
Stiff Upper Lip.
Was it that one? Yeah, there was one like newish AC. I mean, when I say that, it's like last 15 years. AC/DC record that you really liked.
Yeah, it was the one with Satellite Blues on it. I that's Stiff Upper Lip.
Okay.
I think it's awesome. A lot of their later things worked, and then it went to a place that wasn't good. Like even the Black Ice album I didn't love, but I thought Rock and Roll Train was a jam.
Did Heaven Who Made Who on there bug you?
No, it didn't bug me. It wouldn't be on mine, but that certainly didn't bug me.
Yeah, Who Made Who rules.
I think Who Made Who is really, really sweet. Like you said, like the riff, do like that. The whole thing they're doing there is sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
So,
and the Bon Scott tunes like High Voltage and Sin City, those are brilliant.
High Voltage was great. Sin City, I'm not super big on.
That is a power riff right there.
High Voltage has to be on everyone's list.
Yeah, High Voltage rules.
If it's not, like you got yourself some bad taste.
Yeah.
If that's the case.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you tuned in.
Yeah. So I don't know if you saw Def Leppard open their residency in Vegas 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
And
they played like a couple of super obscure.
They played White Lightning.
Yeah.
Which you and I saw in 1992.
Right.
Which has been one of my top 5 Def Leppard songs for, most of my life.
Yeah.
And they played it. I actually got on YouTube. I don't do this a ton, but I got on YouTube and watched bootleg video of them playing it. It was pretty cool.
Was it good?
Yeah. Yeah, it was really good.
Nice.
But I still remember almost every moment from that Adrenalize show that we went to.
We had kind of a crafty little run of like, we went and saw Bon Jovi on Keep the Faith, Def Leppard on Adrenalize, Megadeth on Countdown,
Kiss on Revenge.
Like that all like
that was all in the same winter.
Yeah. Pretty solid little
1992.
Megadeth just put out a new one, yeah?
The last one.
The last.
Did you listen to when Mustaine was on Rogan?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Billy Bob Thornton, great recent Rogan appearance.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
That
for
rules.
sure. For sure.
That guy could say, he's one of those guys, like, he could pretty much say anything and it'll make me laugh. Like, I mean, he's got amazing stories and all this, but like, even just him doing all of his, well, God damn it, well, shit, all that stuff. It just cracks me up.
Yeah.
It's so good. I watched, I was on the plane the other day and I watched the Friday Night Lights, the original, with him as the coach. So good.
I still love him just like lighting up that Canadian Gian from CBC on Q.
Oh yeah.
Billy Bob had like his meltdown.
Yeah, when he gets pissed off because he's like implying that his music is like a hobby.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, would you say that to Tom Petty?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, dude, you're not. I'm sorry. I love Billy Bob Thornton. He's like one of my favorite dudes, but like, are you Tom Petty? No.
Would you call Tom Petty a part-time
like
musician?
So silly,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we have two kind of paths to go down on, why we're covering this wonderfully bizarre yet incredibly successable 1986 album. We'll open it up to you two. We'll choose you choose the adventure. So there's a path that's very simple, which is just like, hey, by the way, let's celebrate something. And then there's a path of something that is no longer. So which would you like to we'll briefly touch on each, but which would you like to do first? The celebratory part or the no longer part?
I don't know. I don't know. Is there like, what do you think? I guess let's do the no longer part.
No longer.
It's no longer, whatever it is.
Whatever it is the thing that finally, probably 10 years too late, last month finally saw its end, its true death. And that is MTV officially went off the air.
Yes.
Last month. MTV is vital to this album. The singles are not pop hits, but they became giant hits.
We'll get to it. Yeah, we'll get to it.
Back to MTV. What does MTV mean to you in retrospect? And what do you think it meant to you as a music fan growing up in the 80s and 90s?
Well, it's sad that it's done but it's been done for decades. It's not like it had an impact on things. I mean, today's YouTube was our MTV. I mean, it was constant. It was the go-to resource. It was what you queued up when you either wanted to see something familiar or you wanted to learn something new or you wanted news and information. I mean, Kurt Loder was, it was news. It was literally MTV News. And that was where you learned about Kurt Cobain's death. And that was where you learned about, all kinds of happenings taking place, within the music scene. I mean, there were different channels within the channel, right? You had like 120 minutes. You had Headbangers Ball. You had eventually the TRL stuff. I mean, it had the same effect on us growing up as YouTube has on the generation today. It was just specific to music. I mean, you'd come home and you'd turn it on, and you'd leave it on. And you also remember when they were doing like game shows, they were doing like Sing Along with Colin on remote control, and they were doing like spring break stuff, and the Real World. And, so, I mean, it was like this one-stop destination for so many things beyond just music videos. And so, yeah, the fact that it's completely gone is crazy. I think they did the best they could do in sort of trying to stay relevant. And it's that constant dilemma of like, do we still play music videos and try to like make that a thing and compete with all the other places where you can get that content? Or do we like get into like Jersey Shore, and my 16-year-old pregnant mom, whatever, right? Like,
I'd like to know the logistics of that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it hasn't been MTV for a very long time. So it's not like some jarring thing that it's gone. Anyone that wasn't a child of the 80s and the 90s, which we were, will anyone born before that will never understand, and anyone born after that will never understand the impact and the sort of integrated one-stop nature that channel, and even when they added MTV2 to an extent, that whole platform kind of represented for us in terms of all the things we were trying to gather and learn and follow and kind of stay up on, during those times. So yeah, crazy.
Yeah, I think it's well said in terms of its, his recent relevance is no relevance. I mean, there's a lot of things that killed it, but nothing more than YouTube and, just digital platforms that played videos in a much more convenient, have it your way, on demand sort of way. But I think you can't overlook how much it brought music to life, for those of us that were younger at the time. It combined music and visuals in a way that was super unprecedented. When I think about Sledgehammer, even at like for a Dave Matthews show, remember the 2 summers he was playing it like every show, and he covers it. I'm still thinking about the images of the video. And every time I hear the song, I'm still thinking about the images of the video. And It Smells Like Teen Spirit is similar. There's so many examples. I continue to think that being born in 1980 was probably the greatest time ever to be born in the history of the world. And this is certainly one example of that. So, all right, well, that's the MTV bit. Here's the other bit that's much shorter. See, Peter Gabriel is about to put out a new album, and the man is 75 years old, which is a big deal for those of us who are fans of his, because he's one of these, he's a little bit like, Tool in the way that like he took forever to make albums. I think it makes the timing right to recognize this guy, because he is one of our, I think, most special and important artists that we've had, not only before he went solo, but certainly since. All right, well, let's take this episode round and round. Here we go. Alrighty then, T, what is round and round for you?
3 things that came out actually within the last 2 weeks of said recording. So the first is a band I've hung with for a very long time, and that's Kula Shaker. It is called Worm Slayer. It's very, very good. I've really liked what they've done over the years. It's them, but it's always very diverse and very cool, and you get through a full album and you get a lot of different looks. So that's great. The format, actually, they were the 2003, 4, 5, 6. Dog Problems was my album of the year in 2006. Sandwiched right in between Mars Volta, which we've done, and then Modest Mouse, which we haven't done. They're back. I believe this is their first album since then, isn't it? Did they put one out after Dog Problems? I don't think they did.
No, because they did.
So
he went to do the fun thing.
Yeah, well, he went off and did lots of stuff. So 20 years reuniting in this album. Have you heard it, Nub?
No, I was fascinated when they announced the Detroit show, because I was like, what? They're reunited? But I've not heard the album.
Yeah.
Did the show already happen, or is that coming up? I don't
know, but
okay.
Yeah, it's cool. It's pretty stripped down. It's not, Dog Problems was like pretty intricate, which is part of what I liked about it. It's good. It's cool that these 2 guys, I think it's just the 2 guys, right? They're back together and doing this. I think it's neat after a 20-year break. So that record is called Boycott Heaven, and it's worth checking out for sure. And then the third is, we mentioned it, but Megadeth, their finale, allegedly, and ironically, the final track of the Megadeth self-titled album that just came out a couple weeks ago, is a cover, I guess, of Ride the Lightning. Although Dave Mustaine claims that he basically wrote that song, which I believe him. But you know what? Like, Metallica has gotten to be so goofy and head casey, and meanwhile, like, Mustaine has just, and I know it's been a lot of iterations of the band, but like, he's just kept chugging along and kept making good music. And you talk about longevity. I mean, it's I've really gained a deep respect for Dave Mustaine and Megadeth over the years. I've been listening to him a lot. So cool to have some new music. It's a cool album. Nothing much to it. It's just Megadeth just doing their thing, you know, which is kind of neat. They're not trying to like reinvent the wheel or anything with this. It's just, you know, him Mustaine being Mustaine, but kind of cool that the final track of it is
Metallica gotten head Casey. That's so funny that you said that. I mean, they put out a great album, 72 seasons. They've toured the world with these amazing 2-night shows with these different set lists. And I mean, I don't know. I feel like Metallica's in a really good place. Why are they head Casey?
Well, they've been through some weird moments. I mean, you know, the Newstead stuff, the Some Kind of Monster stuff, you know, there was some weird, I mean, I know that was a while ago. But
22 years ago. I agree that was a weird phase, but you know.
Yeah, it's
they've done a lot since then. Yeah.
You know, the Napster stuff, you know. I mean, they definitely have had some weird chapters. But yeah, I mean, sure, they're still playing and that's cool. And, you know, Hetfield's got his like Elvis style microphones and stuff, and that's cool, you know. But anyway, what is Round and Round for you?
First for me is the new album from a band that I saw last year. They've been on my list for a while, and that is Elbow, UK. You know, kind of proggy, I would say, for the most part. Really, really cool band. And Audio Vertigo is their new album. It's excellent. It's kind of heavy, kind of big grooves in it, things like that. Not festival rocky at all, but so new album from Elbow I've been really liking. And then honestly, I've just been like, I've gone back to Yes and Rush like big time this winter. Just weird because I usually listen to a lot of metal during the winter, which I am. There's a new album by, it was on a previous Round and Round, I think, for me, Rivers of Neil, which is like one of the best new metal bands out right now. I've been listening to that a ton, but Yes, Drama, I've probably spun 3 times in the last month, top to bottom. And Rush is Permanent Waves, which I think is a perfect album. I really do. I think top to bottom, it is the best Rush album. One of many that are fantastic, but, and you know, with the whole reunion thing, I just pulled it back out and it is so good. The album sounds amazing. And it really does have 2 or 3 of their best songs. You know, Free Will, for example, is a song that I just love now, I think, more than ever. I just adore.
Well, Natural Science is crazy good.
Of course. Natural Science, Jacob's Ladder is great. But Different Strings might be the best song in the album. I mean, it's incredibly powerful, very moving song. So I could listen to Permanent Waves every single day and not get sick of it. So yeah. So
are you going to that Rush thing?
I'm sure I will end up there. I'm sure that Chili and I will end up at that show. You know, it's crazy. I haven't been to a show in all of January. I went to one in December, not one in January, and not one yet in February. So this is crazy. This is like unheard of. But the spring looks unbelievable. Like it really does. The amount of stuff that's been announced in the last 2 or 3 weeks. So I think I'll end up at it. I don't see how like Rush will be playing 20 minutes away and like I'm not there. That's kind of where I've landed. But I didn't buy tickets for the on sale because I have a feeling the prices are going to go way down. That's my prediction.
Yeah, because it's not Rush. It's Geddy Lee, Alex, and a drummer.
You know, Rush was Rush before Neil. Oh. I mean, the first Rush album has no Neil Peart on it at all. So it's hard to say. It's hard to say Rush is not Rush without him. You could certainly say that you don't want to go. You could certainly say that, but I mean, there's an entire album without him. So
that nobody bought, that nobody cared about, that they never play music off of. I mean, come on.
The founding members of it are best friends who want to keep it going, and good for them. I mean, why should I boycott this amazing band and this amazing catalog because the drummer died, very tragically and totally out of anyone's control? I mean, these 2 guys are best friends that want to make music again together. I think that's pretty cool. So I'm down to support it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't fault them or anything. It might be a little bit of a money grab, but I don't know. I just seeing them, it's hard when you've had 3 guys that have been regardless of what you say. It's been those three guys their entire career. And every time we've gone to see them shoot. Do you even know what your current count is? Mine's probably like at least 15, maybe 20.
Oh no, I didn't see them that much. I think probably 9.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be possible for me to. I mean, our first Rush show was 1994, and they toured every 3 years. So
yeah, and I don't know, man. I just think it'd be really hard to go. I think it'd be hard to go see them without Pert. It's just, I don't know. That's a critical piece of the equation, and good for them. I mean, maybe.
I mean, if he quit or they kicked him out, I get, yes, of course, that would just. But like the dude, like died of brain cancer. You know what I mean? Like, what are they supposed to do? Just never play that music again, or never give a new generation of fans the chance to see Lee and Lifeson play live? No, maybe I will. Maybe calling it something different was an option, but they said it's like Rush it's the band. It's who Geddy and Alex are. So
I mean, look, in about 10 years, we're gonna have like AI Elvis is going to go on tour. So whatever, like these things are going to be, I mean, these things have turned into franchises now. Like there are going to be bands that continue on with 0 founding members. I'm sure there are already a few, so that them calling themselves Rush and them deciding to go out, it's up to them. It's just not going to be like even close. If you go see Earth, Wind and Fire and they have a different drummer, that's like 1/24 of the band, but for these guys, right, it's one critical part of the trio, and I don't know, it'll be interesting to see how the chick, what is it, chick, holds up on the old drum kit.
Oh, she'll be fine.
Fairly important to that band. We'll look forward to your review of that one.
Indeed. All right, let's dive into So. Let's cast our minds back to 1986 and get into that with the Nerdy Deeds done dirt cheap. So, it's Peter Gabriel's 5th album, and it's the second that had a name. He did Peter Gabriel, and those were all nicknamed. There was Car and Scratch and whatever the other one was. And then he put out the 4th album was, I think it was self-titled, but it did have a name, Security. And so for his 5th album, he decided to actually give it a name. And like we said earlier, he went with this 2-letter word thing virtually for the rest of his recording career, or certainly for, proper studio albums. It was released on May 19th of 1986. It took a full year to make, which again, like at this time is a long time. So it recorded through most of 1985 and a little bit of 1986, and then finally released, in the spring of 86. It was released on Charisma Records, which ironically, and sort of amazingly, I should say, instead of ironically, that's the album that put out his, second album with Genesis. So Charisma, this relationship between Peter Gabriel and Charisma Records, which eventually leaked into Virgin Records and Geffen around the world. But it's remarkable that he stayed on the same label throughout this very long, storied career. There were 5 singles released. We already touched on a couple because of our MTV discussion, but Sledgehammer, In Your Eyes, Don't Give Up, Big Time, and Red Rain were all 5 singles. You look at those singles, T, and it's what we said, or at least what I said earlier. None of those songs are produced as glaring radio hits, things that young people will get into, but really? They are. They're all very unique, very non-mainstream songs, but they all became hits. All 5.
You don't think In Your Eyes is a mainstream song?
Hell no. It's got this tribal backbeat. It has like 6 different vocalists doing all sorts of chants and oohs and ahs. It's not a love song at all. And people interpret it as such, but In Your Eyes is the furthest thing ever from a romantic love song. And everybody interpreted it as that, which is just hilarious. So we'll get into it. We'll get into it. But point being that these are 5 very unique songs that all became hits in different ways. Red Rain wasn't an MTV hit by any means, but if you ask musicians about So, a lot of them will say Red Rain, like bassline in Red Rain. Don't Give Up, Kate Bush sings on it. It's a very, very strange song. There's no hardly any percussion to it. It's very ambient. It's kind of long and droney. Became a gigantic hit. And we kind of just talked about In Your Eyes and how unique that is. So those 5 singles really show you, out of the 9 songs in the album, just how successful this was. And I mean, let's sort of look at the success of this, because it was the 12th best-selling album of 1986. This is a really big year for music, as we already listed out. This is Slippery When Wet and Invisible Touch and Janet Jackson and Madonna. And I mean, this was number 12, this sort of, middle-aged guy from England who was in Genesis before anybody cared, put together one of the best-selling albums of the year. It was number 1 in the UK album chart. It was number 2 on the US Billboard 200. It topped the charts in Austria, Canada, and the Netherlands, Finland, New Zealand. In Italy, it was number 1. He's always been gigantic in Italy ever since Genesis. So, I mean, this was just a triumph in every single way. But it's a creative triumph that became commercial. And I think that's what's really, really cool about it. What followed was the album Us in 1992, which again, similarly came out in right the heart of grunge. And he's doing Digging in the Dirt and Come Talk to Me. And again, scoring commercial hits in this time that he had no business being a commercial artist, but he broke through all that. And as we mentioned at the top, Up came out in 2002, and through the rest of his last sort of 20 plus years of music, he's dabbled in soundtracks, and he did a covers album. He did orchestra albums. So even Peter Gabriel, as creative as he was, fell victims to some of these tropes that have happened in the last 20 years, like covers albums and orchestras and stuff. And sort of resurfaced, 2 years ago with I.O., and now he's got the OI album coming out, which will be really cool. So is the commercial pinnacle of Gabriel's career, and it's an album that they've made movies about. It has a tremendously interesting story. There's a Classic Albums documentary that was made about So, and it kind of takes you through just the rigorous process of making this album. So as we dive into that, it'll be interesting to hear what your background is with this record, T. So let's get into the wonder stories about Peter Gabriel. So. T, what is your So story?
Not much, because I sort of stumbled onto Peter Gabriel the same way most others did, which is via MTV, to your point, and via, these unusual videos with these very poppy, hooky singles. And, time goes on and you sort of dig in a little bit more to the catalog. I've always found him to be a difficult artist to really dive into. I mean, I haven't gone through that phase of listening to all the albums, and some of it gets a little intense for me, and some of it gets a little artsy for me, and even this record, which is by far the most accessible and the most poppy, it's still a little disjointed at times. So I respect the heck out of, his approach to things. The Genesis era is, you've forgotten more about it than I'll ever know, but it's an interesting thing to kind of assess in terms of theatrically and musically what was going on there. Obviously, he's had kind of a strange career, this blend of artistry, this blend of progressiveness, a lot of politics rolled up into his music. And so I've never been a huge fan. I mean, I've never you'll never hear me kind of talk about like, oh, I just went through this Peter Gabriel phase and it was just like killer, you know? So it's more about like picking spots. You know, there have been tracks along the way that have been amazing. I mean, I Grieve we talked about, and a couple on the record after this. I mean, on the Us record with, you know, Steam and Digging the Dirt and stuff. I mean, there's some, obviously, like he's put out some cool stuff, but it's never been for me like dig into like this album or even the more recent things and all that. He's always been a tough one for me to like get my arms around and sort of fully understanding. If you're just looking for kind of art and something interesting and something unique, I get it. I mean, I definitely appreciate him, but it's never been one for me where I've like had to sort of like study his work. I know a few people that just love Peter Gabriel, you know, that are just super, he can do no wrong and all that. And there's some peculiar moments on this album that'll be interesting to go through. But I mean, obviously, to your point, it's commercially, from an accessibility sound standpoint and from a pop standpoint. I mean, clearly this thing was meant to, it was meant to sell, whether he meant it that way or whether Lanoy meant it that way, or, you know, whoever else was. I mean, there are a lot of sort of hands on this thing, Kate Bush and stuff you mentioned, but this is hooky and this is poppy, and this is definitely a guy who I think is an artist first and foremost, and began his career being very theatrical and rather strange, trying his hand at some songs that probably was pretty obvious during the recording process were going to be top 40 hits, and seems to have worked out pretty well, you know, for him over time. And probably a guy that wanted to use commercial success to then fuel and fund creative freedom, you know, going forward. And that seems like what he's done, and he's always been pretty true to it. And but, you know, to pretend like, you know, he's just this like avant-garde prog guy who just stumbled upon some hits, I think is silly. I mean, these are obvious. A few of these are obvious hits, and it'll be fun to walk through them. So as a Genesis deep fan, I'm sure your, you know, story with Peter Gabriel is in depth and probably pretty intricate, but mine's a little bit more simple. So why don't you tell us about yours?
So I'm going to leave the Genesis stuff aside because I would talk for 3 hours if I kind of got into the whole background there. But my first experience with Peter Gabriel was the Big Time video, and just thinking like, who the hell is this guy and what is this? Because it's a good example where, and you and I clearly have a fundamental disagreement about this album. That even he would say it's not commercial at all. And Big Time though it's a good example of where the video overrode the song, because that Big Time probably is the most accessible song on the album. But I didn't even think about that. I wasn't even thinking about the hook of the chorus or
Sledgehammer too,
or the big backbeat, or the almost the danceability of Big Time, which is again why it probably gives it the most accessibility on the album. I was just thinking about like this coming out of his mouth in the video, and the transformation of all these faces and stuff, because it wasn't claymation, but it was this stop tape effect that they were using, or whatever it is. I'm not a filmographer, but both Sledgehammer and Big Time videos had these distinct styles where things were just constantly moving and changing. And I just was stunned by that. And that was, you know, before I really understood that this was like the Genesis frontman and all the history of his, you know, this is his fifth album. It's that this wasn't like a breakout success. I mean, he was very established. And Salisbury Hill was a giant hit. Again, a very strange song, but a giant hit. And there were others, you know, that weren't as big as that came along the previous three albums. So it just kind of came out of nowhere to somebody in the mid to late 80s, especially in America. Just trying to make sense of like, who is this guy? Why are his videos so weird? And why do these songs sound so different from everything else that's around right now? Because that's the other part of this is like, yeah, Daniel Lanois' production is a giant part of this. And I didn't mention during the nerdy deets, and I should have, because Lanois brought this like this credibility to the project. You know, he worked with U2, but he's a big reason for all the space in the album and all of the non kind of traditional things that are in it. This marriage between artist and producer just couldn't have been any better. And we'll hear a lot of that as we get into the songs, but the whole thing's just totally rooted in imagery. It's totally rooted in the Big Time and Sledgehammer videos. And really it's those two videos. The videos for the other songs are not really that weird. But when you're 6, 7 years old, I'm 6, 7. I just said it. Oh God. I can't believe it just came out of my mouth.
Did it.
And you're seeing those sort of timepieces. It was startling. It wasn't just like, oh, there's a video. Like, it was so different. One of the biggest things, T, I think that's a gap for you when it comes to your love for Gabriel is you never saw him live. Because seeing him live is just an absolute experience. I mean, he puts everything into his shows, visually, thematically. He has an incredible band. I mean, David Rhodes and Tony Levin and these guys that played on So and are still with him. There's a reason these guys are still with him. And live, like I said, I saw him twice on Up. One of my biggest regrets is I didn't go 3 years ago when he came to Detroit. I wish I would have. I just didn't. But seeing him live is a really powerful, very emotional experience. You know, some of the renditions of these songs bring out things that you just had never really thought about before. So, all right, Steve, let's get into these tracks and see if we can determine whether this is creative, commercial, or probably what really is, which is both for sure. And let's do that as we take it track by track. And T, let's drop that needle. Here we go.
The needle on the record. Put 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 the needle on the record. When the drum beats go like this.
One of the most distinct openers, and one that has aged tremendously well, almost like a red wine, is the opening Red Rain.
On your skin, I come to you, defenses down, with the trust of a child. Ah, red rain coming down,
If you just listen to the background, I mean, there's all these things going on rhythmically, because Peter Gabriel started as a drummer. There's a reason the guy goes through 5 drummers on an album, which he did here. But what's carrying the song, ironically, is a single hi-hat performance by a very, very notable percussionist. T, do you know who it is?
Yeah, Phil Collins.
It is not Phil Collins. Phil Collins, this is one Peter Gabriel album Phil Collins did not appear on. It is Stuart Copeland from The Police. He's playing just the hi-hat. Okay. And you can see why when you, especially you listen to the intro of the album, when that hi-hat comes in, first of all, it's unmistakably Stuart Copeland's hands doing that, but it carries the song in this very unique way. I mean, who brings in one of the most famous drummers in the world to just play the hi-hat on the song? Well, Peter Gabriel does. Red Rain's got a real mood to it. It's not catchy. There's no hook to the song. There really isn't even a verse, chorus structure. It just goes and it builds a little bit. And then there's this dramatic kind of outro. So not one hook, not one piece of catchiness, still one of the most beloved songs in the album. T, what do you think of Red Rain?
I beg to differ that Red Rain is coming down. Ba, ba, ba. That is a hook. I'm sorry. That is catchy. It's great. I think that it's a cool opener. The way it kind of like builds without overdoing it, and then kind of like before you know it, you're in it, and you've got all the percussive elements, electronic mostly, obviously going on, with the exception of the hi-hat, apparently. But yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's a good Peter Gabriel song. It's a good intro to this, and I think a good kind of ramp up to track 2, which was kind of the obvious, commercial selection. But I do think that's a hook, and but subtle. This song, I don't think, to your point, I wouldn't put it in the category of like they were looking for hit potential here, but it's pretty accessible and it's a pretty cool intro to the record for sure.
The fact that this song is a single says a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
okay, you can call that one little line a hook. Go ahead. But like that's this song, this 5 minutes or whatever it is, that really doesn't do anything that you can, dance to, groove to, sing along to. It's not a very sing alongy type of song unless you just want to follow that little low voice thing he does. This song was a single, that's the magic of So, that this album got so big that, even the really unconventional opening track was a single. Certainly not conventional and extremely hooky is the second song and the most played video on MTV in the history of MTV, apparently, according to some magazine, Time magazine or something said that. Super unconventional, certainly in its instrumentation. And that is track 2, I Want to Be Your Sledgehammer.
Had a big tipper going up and down all around the bends. You could have a bumper car bumping. There's amusement never ends. I wanna be.
So, I mean, it's got like this crazy, doo-doo-doo-doo thing. Again, like who else was doing that in 1986? It's full of synthesizers. And, Peter Gabriel's a very, very good keyboard and synthesizer player. But this song is all about the groove. And it's Tony Levin and Manu Katché, who is this drummer that like Gabriel just loved and used him all over So. The groundwork that they're laying. I mean, Tony Levin, the incredible bass player, King Crimson, played with Seal. This song is like rhythm section perfection mixed with these 3 or 4 amazing hooks. But it's also really weird. It's also like out there and it's got this solo in the middle that comes out of nowhere and it goes on and on and on at the end. It's actually a rare song that like I like the radio version a little bit better because they chop it a little bit and take out some of a little bit of the gristle that's in it. But obviously a very beloved song. If you just ask Dave Matthews if this song is beloved or not.
Yeah, I think it's completely conventional. We're totally disagreeing on this is a pop song. This is a funk song. This is I mean, it's a pretty basic groove. The chorus has some backbeat elements that are interesting, but ultimately it's funk. You're bringing in horns. You've got, you're hitting the one hard. The do is one little bit. It's not like a pan. It's not like everything breaks down into a 5-minute pan flute solo, right?
No,
it's
dude,
like
it's the entire intro.
Hook.
It's the entire intro, and then it's basically replacing a guitar solo.
Yeah, but this is a pop. If anything, this is a pop funk song. I love it. I love Sledgehammer, but I mean, to call this unconventional, I mean, it's about as straightforward of on the one funk, a really cool guitar riff that melds together with the bass and drums, to your point, that make it this really cool driving song. But I mean, you could play this on an acoustic guitar by itself and you pull it off because the rhythm, the melody, the hooks, and the sort of funk elements are there. Yeah, the video is super memorable. I'm with you there. I don't think it's as memorable the video as it is without it being a great top 40 song, which it was. But this to me is straight up pop funk to perfection. I love the horns. I love the way it keeps moving. But yeah, very conventional in my opinion. Now we get to parts of this album where you make a fair point, and I think the next one's part of that. But this one, they knew recording this that this thing had cross appeal and top 40 appeal all over it.
Compared to Madonna and Bon Jovi, I mean, it is. This has saxophone. This has trumpet. This has trombone. This has P.P. Arnold singing background vocals. All right, P.P. Arnold's like one of the most legendary voices in British music history, and she's doing that like big old, like almost gospelish singing at the end. Sure, it's 4 on the floor, but it's also very mid tempo. This wasn't like a dance club song. It also,
I think it was
pump your fist thing.
You don't think they were playing this at CJ Barrymore's Nub? Come on.
No, it's actually quite slow. It's not super danceable if you really look at like the kind of BPM of it. It's not. And so it's
Dave Matthews wouldn't play it if it wasn't danceable.
Dave Matthews played a much different version of it, no doubt about it. And the other thing I would say is like acoustic, sure, like you could probably do some sort of slowed down like acoustic version of this, but again, it's got brass section, full brass section. It's got 3 or 4 synthesizers. It's got Tony Levin doing his very unique like, finger bass style. And it's got, gospel vocals. It's got pan flute. I mean, there's like all sorts of things in this song that nobody else was doing. Certainly nobody else that was that popular. So it's a remarkable single.
I'm going to throw your Dolly Willy rule back at you. This is totally that. I mean, this song would have been a hit no matter who did it. And that's okay. I mean, I'm not like down on it. I think it's an awesome song actually, but top 40 all the way. Dolly Willy rule in full effect.
All right. Well, I tell you one that is not Dolly Willy rule. A song
Correct.
that relies heavily on
we agree.
production, and you talk about a completely unconventional hit. I mean, completely. And my girlfriend, my long
Yes.
the woman that I would probably drop it all for.
Yes.
Who's very close friends with Peter Gabriel, and they're kindred spirits. They're very, very similar as artists.
You think they Rogered a couple times?
God, if he's smart, he did. And that is Don't Give Up. It's hard to say this song title without doing
You're about to say that that's not hooky. All right. I mean, come on now. Here we go.
Don't give up. We don't need much of anything. Don't give up. 'Cause somewhere there's a place where we belong. Rest your head.
Maestro, it's funny you chose that section because it's part of the song where
That was for you, buddy. That was all for you.
There's a real irony to this, and that is that when my girlfriend takes over near the end of the song is actually when I start to really not love Don't Give Up. I think the first 2 or 3 minutes of it are just fantastic. I think it's so ambient, it's so spacey. Again, like this song did not sound good on the radio at all. It was not made to sound good on the radio. And
That
yet,
part did, but
the whole song. I mean, there's no beat. There's no, and again, and we're not talking about like the great quality part you just played or listened to it on CD. This is 1986, man. People are listening to this on the radio or watching the video. They're not going to hear all that going on. It's this really like light, delicate thing. And, it charted in like every country and just did remarkable. But I think you put Kate Bush and Peter Gabriel in a room together and just something good is going to happen. So what do you think, man? What do you think of this really sad song? Because it is too. The lyrics are horribly depressing too. I should say that. Like this is not the feel good hit of the summer, right? So what do you think? Don't Give Up.
Yeah, it's like some kind of like song with like political sort of leanings, and it's like about, I don't know, some guy on hard times or something. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but this song, I mean, there's sort of 2 different songs going on here, which I think is kind of part of what you're getting at, which is one is the Gabriel section, which is like fairly minimalist and, more like I think of some of the stuff like Sinead O'Connor was doing, or, you know, stuff that was pretty stripped down and pretty melancholy, obviously. But then this Don't Give Up part that Kate Bush sings is pure pure hook, right? So, I mean, if you just put that over and over again, it probably would have been a hit song, even as is. A good hook doesn't need like tons of action going on around it. So I think the fact that it's pretty stripped down leads to some of the charm of the song. But yeah, I mean, I think that the reason why it's a hit is because of that, what is clearly a fairly catchy, hooky vocal from Kate Bush. And then it sort of goes back into the Gabriel part. I mean, I actually think the song's kind of boring, but you can see you sang it before we even played it. I mean, that's something that like got in people's heads. And that's something that, you know, obviously, you know, with her, particularly with her voice, which I agree, she's awesome. It certainly had single appeal and it achieved that, you know, so I don't think it was a like huge shocker that it achieved some radio airplay, but it was obviously from her part more so than his part. But all in all, I think the song's pretty long, and I mean, 6.5 minutes, and I think kind of boring. I don't know. Do you think it's boring?
Well, I mean, like everything on So, it's too long. I think Sledgehammer is way too long. Gabriel's notorious for making songs longer than they need to be. And again, that speaks to the creativity and the non-commerciality. Now, all these songs got radio edits.
Yeah.
So like the Sledgehammer radio edit certainly makes it sound a lot more like a pop song than it is. The Don't Give Up radio edit chops off, you know, significant parts of the song. And I'm guessing they remixed it to bring certain things, you know, up to the surface as well for radio. So, I mean, yeah, he's, you know, one of the major digs at him that is rightfully said is, you know, just too excessive. Every idea was a good idea. And these songs are often extended way longer than they need to be.
Right.
And so boring, yes, because it's bloated. It doesn't do a whole lot, but it sets a really interesting mood. And again, it's
got Kate Bush. I don't expect for you to say anything really even neutral about it because your girlfriend's in it. I get it. I get it. But if your girlfriend wasn't in it, you might think and it wasn't Peter Gabriel, you might think it's a little.
I think the biggest boost to this song's appeal is the lyrics. And, you know, you and I are not big lyrics guy. And like you said, like, don't want to get into a big lyric thing here, but
yeah,
this song absolutely is boosted by really inspiring lyrics. I think that, you know, the story behind it, and plus it's like deeply personal for Gabriel. I mean, he said it's like basically him singing about himself. You know, it's like because his wife would say to him, like, don't give up. And so that I think there's a like a really deep meaning to this that I do think resonated, because a song like this you don't listen to for the music. There's nothing interesting. Yeah, there's one hooked in the chorus that she does 3 times, but like I think people really connected with the story and the lyrics of this song.
Agreed.
We spent a lot of time talking about and debating like the hits, but the 4 non-hits on the album are actually the part that takes a little bit of a more interesting dive, because is So truly a classic top to bottom, or is it just an album that has 5 hits or at least 5 singles that are beloved? And track 4 is our first album cut, and that is That Voice Again.
So scared. Listen to the wind.
So it's kind of a long instrumental section. Again, lots of synth stuff. Tony Levin just, again, commanding the groove with the bass. The ending, it gets a little more when that voice again kind of vocal line comes in. It's really cool. I love the ending of this song. I think it's magnificent. Peter's definitely singing with some desperation in this song, which is a little different. I think it's a real win in terms of, again, something that's rhythmically is super challenging and zero hit potential, but a song that I would never pass by if I'm listening to the album top to bottom. What do you think of that voice again?
I think if it was a song by John Gabriel, you know, like the guy down the street, we wouldn't think much of it. So it's probably one of those that, like, because it's Peter Gabriel, because it's his voice, because there's a certain ambiance to it that it's kind of cool, but I don't think there's much to it. I mean, I don't, like, if I were to, as I did several times recently, go through this album, I'm not going to remember that voice again at the end of it. You know, I'm not going to be like, oh, I really want to go back and hear that voice again, you know? So, and that's where this album's tricky, because it is sort of a handful of singles and then a handful of other songs. And then you get into flow and you get into progression and you get into sequencing and all. It's sort of like, okay, like I sort of get this, but I also don't. Right now we're 4 into it, and you've been all over the place. Some people might like that. To me, it's like, okay, where's this going? You know, what exactly are we trying to accomplish here? And this song to me just is, more than anything, it's just pretty memorable, you know? So is it like fine? Yeah. Does his voice sound great? And all? Yeah, for sure. But I don't think there's anything particularly like memorable about track 4.
Man, I think the last minute and a half, when it kind of all builds up and he's doing that, you know, when he's singing the title, I don't know. I think it's really big and really kind of triumphant. You have to get through it. If you judge it by the first 2 minutes, it's going to feel like, where is this going? But everything Gabriel does come to some sort of conclusion. Sometimes it's just too long to stick with. And he's been guilty of that many times, as we've said. Yeah. But I mean, it's not a boring song by any means. The ending is the sort of climax of it. It's one of the more standing on top of the mountain moments on the album, which is kind of cool. It forces the listener to kind of stick with it.
I do like that it's sub 5 minutes. I mean, that's, you know, for this album, that's probably an accomplishment that it wasn't, you put it earlier, having some gristle on these. He probably did a good job on this one of keeping that to a minimum, unlike the next song.
Well, T, we need to decide, because Gabriel being Gabriel, in 2002 decided to change the track order of this album.
Yeah, I saw that.
And so we're going to go with the original track order, because that's what it's supposed to be. But for whatever reason, he decided, in the box set that I have for So, which is a very cool super deluxe box set with tons of goodies, has this updated track sequence, which threw me off. And whenever that came out, I think it was in 2000, I think it was a 20th anniversary or something, but it really threw me off to have In Your Eyes be the closer. Yeah. And In Your Eyes should not be the closer. It in no way, shape, or form. Now, live, he always plays it last, and it's amazing. It's incredible.
So why did it switch? Why did they change the track listing?
Hard to say. I mean, typically when artists do that, I'm speculating. Typically when artists do that, it's because on vinyl, they were forced to modify what they wanted because of time, because they needed to squeeze, the 20 minutes on one side, the 20 minutes on the other side, and make sure that all makes sense. CD allowed you to do whatever the hell you want. So you saw a lot of artists, not a lot, but you saw several artists do this when they got to reissue, which was, okay, now I don't have to put them in an order just to fit on vinyl. Now I can just literally put them in the order of the story I want the album to tell. My guess is it's that. It also could have something to do with that he closed every show he's ever done with In Your Eyes since the So tour. Also,
do you think he wanted In Your Eyes last on this?
I would say that if it was probably up to him in 1986, he probably wanted it last, but couldn't because of having to fit the right amount of songs on each side of the vinyl.
Okay, but you don't think it's a good closer?
No,
okay.
No. Studio wise, I think it's a perfect track 4, track 5.
Okay.
Live,
I agree with you.
Live, it's a perfect closer. I mean, it's you leave with goosebumps at the end of In Your Eyes because he typically does something really powerful visually. So anyway, we will treat this like it is 1986, as we should, and track 5 is In Your Eyes.
But whichever way I come back to the place you are. All my instincts, they return. The grand facade so soon will burn. Without a noise, without my
So many misunderstood things about this song. Music history is full of misinterpreted lyrics. Born in the USA is a great example. People think Born in the USA is a patriotic song. It's not at all. It's the furthest thing from it. People run around, putting their fist in the air singing Born in the USA like it's some sort of American pride. The song is not about that. There's so many of those. In Your Eyes is one of the great examples of that. People think it's a love song, and it's not at all. It's furthest thing from it. But it's so beautiful. I mean, it's easy to misinterpret when a song is this sort of stunningly gorgeous and it's just melody. The least important part of In Your Eyes is the vocals, far and away. If you take the vocals out and you just bring in those warm chorusy keyboards, the piano, on its own is a just wonderful melody. The rhythm is very challenging. The stomp is on the onbeat, but the triangle on the offbeat provides this really almost confusing, almost disorienting rhythm that you're sort of figuring out what you should be sort of bobbing your head to. I mean, it's just very, very challenging song musically. And it became a huge hit because people think it's a love song, and it's not. And it's very dramatic. It's very, very dramatic.
Why do you say it's not a love song? Because Peter Gabriel says it's a love song. You're saying it's not a love song.
If people dance to this at their weddings, and if it's a love song, it's like a love song to God. It's a very, very spiritual song. So I mean, it's interpreted as a wedding song, but it's sort of not. I mean, even rhythmically, it's got like tribal, like African rhythms to it. So, I mean, if you just look at the lyrics word for word, it's an odd song to dance at your wedding to. It really is. But
when I want to run away, I drive off in my car. But whichever way I go, I come back to the place you are. In your eyes, the light, the heat, I am complete. I see the doorway to 1,000 churches. You're telling me this isn't a love song? How so?
So, look, I'm not very familiar with a lot of songs you would dance to at a wedding or play at a, this was a nominee for like the graduation song for high school when I was a freshman in high school. The seniors had to vote, and this was one of them. And there's the phrases in there are like more spiritual than romantic. I mean, the doorway to 1,000 churches, for example, is like, that's just not something you typically would hear. The light, the heat. I mean, it's not a I love you, solid romantic song. I guess I should say there's romance in it, but it's not typical like guy girl, let's get married type of romance, right? It's a more spiritual kind of tone to it. So I guess that's why I would say that it's just a very untraditional love song, for sure.
Okay, I think it's an obvious love song, but okay, that's okay. Yeah, it's almost too gorgeous. It's sometimes I have a hard time taking the song seriously because it's so beautiful. I mean, I wish I could think of the right comparison. If there's like, a film or, something that, portrays like so much beauty that you just sort of giggle. It's like, oh my God, like that's almost this song for me. It's so pretty. Every layer is perfect. It's a pop song. I mean, I'm sorry. You don't put this in movies of guys trying to win girls back unless it's got the ear candy, and it does. It's ear candy all over this thing. Are there tribal moments? Yes, and they're cool. Are there vocal moments that are interesting and different? Yes, but they work. there's a reason. I mean, this is almost an anthem. It's almost like a love song type anthem. And I don't know, and I don't really care if Peter Gabriel ever intended it that way, or if like this got more lovey-dovey than he wanted it. Doesn't matter. What matters is that when people think of emotional, beautiful songs that they at some point had some sort of connection to. I mean, if people are dancing to this at their weddings or having it as their graduation songs, I agree with you. That's a little much, but you cannot deny the perfect construction, the perfect instrumentation, and really the perfect execution of the song, almost to the point where for me it becomes almost ridiculous and hard to grasp, because the emotionality of it and the musical ear candy of it are so appealing and are so perfect. So I'm sure, to your point, that Peter Gabriel as an artist never wanted John Cusack holding up a boombox with this song playing. I'm sure that's right. And I'm sure that there are plenty of people who take Peter Gabriel seriously as an artist that, you know, don't want songs like this of his to turn into gimmicks, especially from a romantic love song type standpoint. But you can't deny what it is. And that is an enormous hit, an adult contemporary song. This thing was on Alan Altman's Pillow Talk, whether we like it or not, you know. And it's a gorgeous song. It's an absolutely stunningly gorgeous song. I will admit that there are times where this comes on the radio and I don't listen to it, just because you've heard it so much, and just because it's almost so emotional that there are moments where I don't want to hear it, if that makes any sense. But it's an enormous song. It's an important song from this era, and certainly for this artist, regardless of how mainstream or how top 40 it got. And again, here we are again talking about another track on this record that was a crossover mainstream mega radio hit and MTV hit too, and movie hit. So
the movie, I mean, it actually didn't chart that high. I mean, it was 26th on the US Billboard 100, and it actually only charted in 3 other countries outside the US. So it wasn't the massive hit, certainly that Sledgehammer was on its face, that it got reborn with Say Anything, because the album was already out.
Sure.
Say Anything came out. That like really, that was 3 years later. So people didn't pay a lot of attention to, you know, In Your Eyes until that scene. And I've never seen Say Anything. This is funny. I'm just a
I haven't either.
Cusack fan. I've never seen the movie. I don't even really understand the scene. I just, you know, it's so iconic. But I know that Gabriel's been very respectful of its use, and I know I think he's appreciated the sort of rebirth that it gave this song, and it super contributed to So's long-term success. But it also is like parodied a lot, and definitely became. I think he pours a lot into playing this song live and making it memorable, because doing anything you can to take the imagery away of the boombox is probably important, I would say, because, you know, it's like a mocked thing almost after a while, you know. And again, I've never seen the movie. I don't know if the singing is melancholy. I don't know if it's actually like a legit emotionally moving thing, but it is Cameron Crowe, and you got to give the guy credit. I mean, it's pretty solid music use, as he always did.
Yeah,
movies,
he knew how to create moments, right? There's a great part in South Park too, where the girl tells I think it's Stan, who's all pissed off because he lost his girlfriend, and she tells him that he's got to go stand outside her house and play Peter Gabriel, and so he brings the boombox over, stands out in her front yard, and presses play, and it's Shock the Monkey.
Yeah,
he totally screws up and play.
That's a great part.
Didn't seem to work well, but yeah, monkey stands there holding up the boombox.
Yeah, it's so great.
Yeah,
track 6 is an interesting one. This is a Gabriel favorite, both from him and his fans. He played this at both shows, and I gotta say, when it comes to Mercy Street, I just don't get it. I've never gotten it. And a lot of things that you were critical of earlier with that voice, again, I'm just going to repeat your take when it comes to Mercy Street. But this is a very, very beloved song by his fans. And maybe you can tell me why. Track 6, Mercy Street.
In the midst of it, so alive and alone, words support my bone, dreaming of Mercy Street, where you're inside out, dreaming of mercy.
Yeah, it's one of the few songs that wasn't on Up that he played at both shows, because it was the Growing Up tour and then the kind of comeback that he did after that leg. And both times it was such a beer song for me. Go take a piss during Mercy Street.
Yeah. Well, and it's 6 minutes 20. That's pretty long for a song that's pretty flat.
Unlike that voice, again, this song, it doesn't do anything. I mean, it really, you talk about a slog. I mean, it really,
yeah. I think there's a certain Peter Gabriel fan where he can do no. I mean, I don't know if you know any. I like I said earlier, I know a handful that are just the guy can do no wrong, right? So there are probably songs where because it's him, like you find some nuance and that's great. I mean, that's being an artist is all about. And sometimes people are so into your work that they will find the nuance that you're sort of striving for, and that's beautiful. I haven't found that on this either. So I'm with you. I think it's pretty flat, pretty long. So this comes after In Your Eyes on the original track.
Yeah, it's track 6 on the original. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. We're probably at a point here. Where are we? Are we beginning side 2 on the LP? I guess
2 songs into side 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
It does have a lot of cool percussion. The one thing about that's so unique, it's just the percussion elements. And you look at the musicians who contributed to this album, which is like reading a dictionary. And, Gabriel was bringing in so many drummers and percussionists. I mean, Stuart Copeland, we already mentioned. It drives the album for sure. And again, using really unique instruments. I mean, African instruments and congas and triangles and things that you just sort of didn't hear every day. He was always incorporating. So I will say, like, the percussive background of it is kind of cool, but I don't know. I don't get it. Never got it. I do get probably is my favorite song on the album now that wasn't, 25 years ago. This is a song that has like grown on me and grown on me and grown on me and grown on me and grown on me to the point where I just absolutely adore it. And it's previously talked about, and the unmistakably danceable Big Time. And Maestro, I'm going to see if you choose the part of the song that I really hope you choose. 2011.
I might have. Let's see.
Okay, let's go.
I went with the ending.
The ending's really good. That
not
would have been my
thinking.
second part. The part I was thinking of was the kind of pre chorus. When Levin just owns it.
That's a cool part. But God, I couldn't, and it's actually pretty unusual. The maestro, call my own number here, that I usually don't pick the endings of songs, but for this one, I couldn't avoid it. It's
amazing. Everything about this song is huge. Totally made for radio, produced for radio. I mean, this is the one that like just so clearly is meant to be in dance clubs, be on the radio, be on MTV. But it's also the one, ironically, that's grown on me the most over time. I didn't like Big Time when I was a kid. I didn't. Maybe it was this sort of weirdness of the video. Even lyrically, I mean, it's ironic that the most commercial song on the album, without question, is about being commercially successful. And like for Gabriel, is he mocking it? Is he singing it in jest? and all this stuff about my head's getting bigger and all that. I mean, it's just like it's an extraordinary pop single. No doubt a pop single, but with a twist, I would say. What do you think of Big Time?
Well, you mentioned Tony Levin. They actually executed the old Gene Krupa move, which is drumsticks on the bass,
which he would go on to market. He actually created it. Tony Levin created this product out of this session that he still uses to this day. I forgot what it's called, something fingers, and he sells them. Like you can actually buy them. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, Jerry Marotta actually, for it's not the whole song, but for part of those really percussive bass beats, that's actually Marotta taking the drumsticks to the bass strings, which is where you get that pop sound. I don't mean pop like radio pop. I mean like pop, beyond just a sort of like bass pluck that you could get. It's actually coming from drumsticks.
But T, as a bass player, is the part that doom do 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 do, is that slap bass, or do you think that's the drumstick?
Yeah,
that would take a lot for a drumstick to make that much rolling melody.
There's probably everything going on. I mean, the bass. Yeah. I mean, the bass and percussive elements of the song are obviously what make it, right? I mean, this just like Sledgehammer, this is backbeat stuff, right? So probably a little less funk than Sledgehammer, but more 4 on the floor pop, and straightforward. I mean, this is a pretty relentless song. Like it just sort of comes at you in that pretty aggressive way. There was an original version of this that, the everyone involved in the recording say that wasn't hit worthy. It wasn't single sounding. And then they worked on it. And the bass and the drum stuff had a lot to do with that. So, and Stuart Copeland was also involved in this song as well, with some percussion stuff. So yeah, I mean, this, I bet a lot of Gabriel aficionados don't like it. I could see a lot of people that get pretty in depth with his music thinking that this is like some kind of dud or throwaway. So was that the case for you? Like, did you see it that way before, and now you've kind of thrown that out the window and you're just kind of like enjoy, because it's a song that is made to, I mean, it's a fun song, like the lyrics. And I mean, this is not Peter Gabriel being terribly serious, which I think is cool. Within 4 songs, you go from Don't Give Up and In Your Eyes to Big Time. It's all over the map emotionally, for sure. Indeed.
Maybe too much. I don't know.
Right.
If we don't wrap up this episode, we're going to Peter Gabriel's song length in this episode. So let's blast through these last 2. In fact, let's combine them. We might as well. We do what we're told. And this is the picture. Let's just tune into those 2 and kind of talk about how So wraps up, so that you and I can get some sleep tonight.
Sounds good.
Okay, just remember, 12 million
copies. Now what's going on here?
12 million copies.
This was not meant to be a single.
No, definitely not. Okay, let's do a quick spin of This Is the Picture, so we can talk about sort of the dichotomy of these 2 songs.
Watching the snow I'm looking out, turning in time, catching up, moving in jump up, and I can land on my feet. Look out!
Okay, so We Do What We're Told is this very avant-garde piece. It's 3 minutes 22. Very it's tapping into some of the things he did late in the Genesis career, particularly on Lays Down on Broadway, and a lot of his first 4 albums were very avant-garde, as are many moments on this, including We Do What We're Told. It's just this sort of repetitive thing. It's in no way, shape, or form is it meant to, like you said, be radio friendly or anything like that.
Yeah, he's not having fun on this song.
No, but he is on This Is the Picture. On Excellent Birds, you earlier you mentioned a funk song. This is,
Yep.
I think, Big Time is a funk song in the Isley Brothers way.
Yeah.
This Is the Picture is a funk song in the funkadelic kind of way.
Yep.
I mean, they set this groove, and by the way, that groove is sick. I don't care what anybody says. That is a cool, big, deep groove.
I think that's a great frame up, and Sledgehammer's like a Sly and the Family Stone kind of way. So, I think that's very well said. And
Maybe it was Sledgehammer you said was funk, right? Or did you say that about Sledgehammer?
Both.
Okay.
I think you nailed it. I mean, all three of those have funk elements. Now, this one is a little more spacey. I mean, Parliament's a great parallel. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of an interesting closer. It's the atmospheric nature of it's kind of cool mixed with the funk elements. So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I think the album, it's a weird album. It's going to close in a kind of strange way. And it does with those two tracks.
And I think about, the soccer mom who bought So for In Your Eyes or whatever.
Yeah.
What did they think when they got to the end of side 2,
Yeah.
So T, but before we actually rate the thing, just tell me, does So matter, particularly in 2026?
I don't know, man. It's just a weird album, right? Like there are a handful of singles on here, and those, I do not think those were just backed into. I think they were purposeful, and that's great. I mean, this was commercially his most successful album, and this was meant to be his most accessible album, and that's okay. Doesn't make him any less of an artist or anything, but there were songs on here that were crafted to be hits. Couple of them top 40, couple of them crossover, one of them adult contemporary. I mean, this is an extremely commercial album. Yet half of it is like him doing him stuff, like Peter Gabriel doing Peter Gabriel things. So it's a strange record, and one that, like, I can't say that it is particularly important because I don't know exactly what footprint it left in the ground. It left some very memorable songs. It left some critical singles to the time period and to Gabriel's career. But did this album like leave some mark of importance? If there is one, I can't think of it, because to me it's two albums. It's hits, and then it's Peter Gabriel doing Peter Gabriel things. Successful, absolutely. Commercial, you betcha. Important, I don't know. I probably not. Critical to his career, important to the music industry at this time, important to MTV. All the visual elements you mentioned are spot on, but the album's a little schizophrenic, I think, to consider it top to bottom something of great importance. What do you think?
I really cite the critics, and I certainly don't want to get too into Rolling Stone magazine, but I mean, Rolling Stone had it on both editions of its 500 greatest albums of all time. I mean, they made a classic albums documentary on it. I think that it's not coincidence that it joined Paul Simon's Graceland as two of the top 15 albums in 1986. Because I think what it did is it opened the door for people who wanted something different, something more. Mm-hmm. This is the heart of big-haired rock bands and almost bubblegummy pop artists. Janet Jackson, Madonna, Bon Jovi. And then you've got this weird African-inspired album by a guy who used to be in a folk duo. And you've got this, I mean, you've used the word weird 10 times to describe the album in the last few minutes. This very peculiar album with, yes, 2 or 3 songs that certainly fit very nicely into MTV and radio. But I think this album opened the door for a lot of people to realize that there's different out there. And Graceland did the same thing. Let's wrap up with the final cut. And that is, are we on the turntable? Are we in the collection? Are we collecting dust? Or is so, not to be confused with us, not to be confused with up, not to be confused with IO or OI, is so moving to the for sale bin T? What's your final go?
I'm going to go with collecting dust. And that's simply because while I don't necessarily see it as like an important go-to of the time, I think you make some great points in that it did offer something different in addition to a collection of songs that have been pretty timeless. In Your Eyes, the love song is timeless. Sledgehammer is timeless. Big Time, pretty timeless, right? And you still hear it, you still see it on reels and, in and out of like sporting events and stuff on TV. I mean, these are pretty anthemic, You have to respect the dichotomy, as strange and weird as it is. And as I've noted, the dichotomy of commercialism along with some pretty interesting and in-depth musical and artistic stuff going on here, wrapped up into one package. Even if it's not your cup of tea, it's pretty interesting. Took a fair amount of balls to go out there with something different and sort of rely on some of the commercial elements to bring people in to maybe learn something new musically. I actually love Graceland. I think that did so maybe even more effectively than this. But I think, to your point, both records accomplished that. And for that, there is something to be said for it. I would understand anyone having this in their collection. I don't think it's an imperative one, but I would certainly, let me put it this way. If I saw this in somebody's collection, I would have a positive reaction to it rather than a negative one. I'd be like, all right, that's cool that you own that, So for me, that fits the old criteria that I just sort of come up with every episode in some way, shape, or form of collecting dust. So that's what I've got. How about you, buddy?
I'm collecting dust as well as an album, because that's really what we're talking about. I mean, I think that, yeah. We're end the episode in agreement. I think that this whole episode, this whole conversation has been this like, I think where we have differed is that if you look at this album, which is what we're here to analyze, as songs, then there's all sorts of avenues for love song. Even it is a love song, but it's about God, not about women. Or the groove, or the danceable.
We must really love that God.
I'll tell you what, it's love song to God.
He must be really into it.
Who doesn't want to dance at their wedding to a love song about God and religion? But we've tossed around all these things, and I think what it is that if you're talking about songs, you can make all sorts of claims about the commercial appeal of this, but we're talking about the album, and as an album, this is collecting dust. It's really not a dynamic top to bottom listen. In a collection, I agree with you. I think it's a tastemaker choice, especially for a younger listener today.
Yeah. Yep.
Big time. I think there's better Gabriel albums. I would take Us over this. I would take Up over this for sure as albums. And the other thing you can't argue is that some of this music has been a little overplayed for us over time. I don't necessarily need to hear In Your Eyes again.
Yeah.
Unless it's live or Don't Give Up so collecting dust, I think, is a perfect appropriate. I think your explanation of it was right from top to bottom. And so through it all, we both sit with so collecting dust, which is a remarkable way for us to end.
Good take, buddy. Part of the fun here is to bring forth albums that spawn some conversation and some, healthy debate, and this is a perfect choice for that. You got hits, you got deeper than deep cuts, you got weird shit going. I mean, it's a great album to in many cases align on, and in many cases differ on. That was part of what made it fun. So I love the pick, and no one wants to listen to us just fillet each other, right?
I don't know. I think some might.
That's no fun.
Depends on your technique. All right, T, let's wrap it up with a little bit of what's in your head.
I got to say, I went through a whole Dolores thing recently. Have you queued up any live versions of that song of Zombie
I mean, I saw the Cranberries in 1996. That's probably the most live version of.
So I don't know if it
that
was
I've
memorable, maybe, but
Their show was very memorable.
well,
Yeah.
there have been a couple. If you go on YouTube and you search for, like, they played like I mean, obviously they were an international, like, huge group. They played that song live a few times in like big sort of stadium festival-y whatever type environments. And dude, they had this like live sort of arrangement of it, and it was awesome.
Yeah, it's like real heavy, right? Like
Super
even the
heavy.
but they heavy up the verses, if I remember
Yep,
right.
super heavy, kind of draggy. It was really
Yeah.
good. It was
Yeah.
really good. So anyway, I cued in on some Dolores recently.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, T, what are your 3 songs? What do you got?
Well, I'm pleased that you reported the other day that our main men, Biffy Clyro, I think I may have said this on Toph's Top 5. I don't know if you and I have done a Two Twins episode since the show got postponed. Nubs informed me the other day that Biffy Clyro has added the Detroit date back on the list, which I'm thrilled. It's May something. Can't wait. So I'm going to throw out there, first of all, I'm going to make a big announcement that Foutique was my 2025 album of the year. So there you go.
Oh, that's a little surprising. I thought you were a little sour on it at first. It must have grown on you a little bit.
Pretty damn good. Pretty damn good.
Yeah,
And
it's
the
really
first-
good.
The first
Yeah.
5 songs are like, whoa.
First
Like,
3 in particular. Oh, wow.
Full 4. If you got to include True Believer on that. So
Yeah, it's
first
hard.
4.
They're connected, so it's hard to. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I guess the first 4.
But
yeah.
Shot One and A Little Love and Hunting Seas are awesome. But Shot One and True Believer, I'll say True Believer, but you got to go Shot One before that. Like, just awesome. So yes, I celebrated by getting Foutique back out. I'm gonna get ready for that show, and it's gonna be awesome. Can't wait to go to that one with you there, buddy. I'm gonna bring in something from Haken, and that is off the Fauna album. Speaking of albums of the year, and that is the Alphabet of Me. You like Fauna?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I think that that would make the top half of my Haken album ranking.
Well,
I like the instrumental version of the album.
instrumental Fauna is
Yeah,
awesome.
I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, super good. And lastly, I'm just gonna pull this one out. This is by a band called Led Zeppelin, and I'm sure you heard of them.
Heard of them.
And it's off the 3 album,
Potential. They have potential.
and it's one of my favorite Get the Lead Out deep cuts called Out on the Tiles.
Oh, yeah, that is a good one.
Nubs, what is in your head, buddy?
3 is such a great album. I'm just going to go with the first 3 songs off an album I mentioned earlier, the Rivers of Neil album. This is just one of the great new metal bands out. Not new metal, NEW, like a newish band. Yeah.
New.
Even though I think they're like 10 years old, but everybody seems new that, is 10 years old. Their album that came out last year, self-titled, everyone should pick it up. Tremendous melodic heavy metal stuff. The Suborbital Blues opener, Dustman's the second track, and Criminals the third track. It's just an amazing 3-song run that I have been loving this winter for sure. T, thanks for diving into So. That was a lot of fun. And I don't know, maybe we should hang out tomorrow night. What do you think?
Hey, we're going to go tie one on, aren't we, buddy?
I think we will. Yeah.
And
so our birthdays are coming up. So let's go celebrate our birthdays.
That's right. We are turning 33 years old. And thanks for bringing this one. I appreciated the healthy and always loving debate on So.
Always.
And Nubs coming up, we've got a little something different, a whole new genre to talk about and explore. So
Can't wait to hear it.
can't wait to hear it. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. Make sure and subscribe to us on whatever platform you're checking us out on, and follow us, and go back and listen to some past episodes, because there's some real gems in there as we started this during the pandemic back in 2021. Was that right? 2020.
Yeah, we are all masked up. That's right.
Yeah. For, not just our safety, but the safety of others.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. And we will see you very, very, very soon on the next edition of Two Twins and an Album.
Two twins.
Well, that's about it. That's all we have. I hope it wasn't too disappointing. We will see you on tour. Until then, take it easy.